Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course. This is a beautiful session today as we're going to feel the energy of an ascended master. And this ascended master is not new, but could be new to our realm. We're talking about Sarah, the daughter of Mary Magdalene and Master Jesus. My guest today is Rachel Goodwin, who's been working with the energy of Sarah and the messages of Sarah. We're going to learn all about it and experience coming into Sarah's embrace. Hi, Rachel. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. Really nice to be here.
Really wonderful to have you here. I can already feel incredible energy, a lightheartedness, a beautiful, pristine essence. And as we get into this episode and have you share more, I first would like you to explain who Sarah is and how she arrived to you. What was going on?
Yeah, well, I'll do my best. So it was 2006 when Sarah first kind of turned up unexpectedly, and I've been working with her since then. And she's taught me so much. I've learned so much. And, you know, I'm a bit like some boring SWAT academic sometimes. I get a bit lost in my subject because I have so much to say. So I'll try and, keep it flowing and interested and not get too bogged down in the details for people. But so if I just sort of go back a little bit to like where I started, when I was in my 20s, I trained as a psychiatric nurse, and I was totally not into any kind of spirituality at all. Never had any interest in it whatsoever. And then my mum got really, really ill with cancer, and she started seeing a healer. And I was like, oh, what's happening? You know, who's taken advantage of my mum? And I got on a train. I was training up in London, and I got on a train and I travelled down to the coast where my mum lived and went to meet this guy who was, when I met him, he was so ordinary, just so completely ordinary and really nice. And he told my mum that I was a healer. And I was like, no. And she tried to get me to read books, and I wouldn't have any of it. And then a year or so after that, she passed. My mum passed away, which is a huge shock to me and opened me up massively. I mean, it just like broke open and it was this massive initiation for me. And then it all started happening. And then one thing after the other, that kind of training from spirit just carried on with me. And then in the end, I trained as a priestess of the goddess. And one time I felt very, very cool to go to Hawaii, not particularly because of Hawaii, but because I wanted to work with dolphins. Really, really loved dolphins and whales. And then when I got there, I had this huge connection to Hawaii. And then when I got back, that was when Sarah turned up. I was running classes on connecting with earth energies in Hawaii. And on the last class, I was working with this beautiful energy. It was the place of sanctuary. And each week I'd opened up to channel, because by that time I'd learned how to channel. And Sarah turned up. And it was just like, she said to me, "I'm Sarah, the daughter of the Magdalene." And I didn't know what to say. I was surrounded by this group of women who, they were very nice. And I thought, I don't know how to say this. And I thought, well, if I don't say anything, nothing else is going to come. So I'll just trust and, take a leap. And she gave this beautiful channeling about like love is the key. And then she never left. She never left basically after that. She just stayed with me, and it's never stopped since then.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. So many elements there. I want to go back and touch on a couple things that you said. When your mother passed, did you dream about her? Because I wonder if you felt that there was a gift in her passing, as if she was on the other side assisting you in this initiation.
I mean, completely. I mean, up until that point, I had denied I had any psychic or spiritual anything going on. And then when she died, I mean, I really, really loved my mum to bits. And I couldn't deny that her spirit was with me, and I was quite aware of it. And the only thing that was missing was her body. And I couldn't deny it because I loved my mum too much. And I was very, very compelled to do the rites in the Tibetan book of living and dying for when someone passed over. And it was my mum's book, and she'd been underlining things in it. And I found these rites in there, and I did them, and I could feel that they were helping her. So it completely blew my world apart. And I did dream about her. I did. I can remember, I think that was a couple of years afterwards though. I dreamt about her, and we'd been talking, and that was the last time I dreamt of her. And then I felt like she moved further. She had things to go and do, and it was time for me to let go. But yeah, it was such a huge gift for me, and so heartbreaking at the same time. But it was that I kind of needed to be broke open, because I had this very, very hard, cynical shell around me, and it took something of that magnitude really to do that.
What a beautiful soul journey. I got goosebumps as you were sharing that story. I could feel that deep cosmic connection between you and your mom. And it illustrates, wow, it illustrates so much of how we have a shell around us, and these deep experiences allow us to come out of that. And even after the person is no longer on this planet, there can be deep healing and deep initiations, and that's what you experience. So what a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank your mom for her journey on her soul contract. And here you are today with Sarah, bringing forward these beautiful messages. But I do, before we go into that, I do want to talk more about Hawaii. And the whales and dolphins were what you were called there for. What about Lemuria? What have you learned? Do you feel a connection to Lemuria, or what was that like when you flew into Hawaii? And did you always dream of Hawaii as a child? What was that like?
No, not at all. And I have found that I'm not quite sure why, but the things that mean the most to me, I have no knowledge of like beforehand until I'm there, and then suddenly I'm like, it's like things are in my deepest unconscious, and I know nothing of them until I'm like being like run over with them, basically like a truck.
And so, would you say that your experience with the dolphins was raising your energy? Is that, how would you explain?
Yeah, I mean, from the moment I got there, I landed at night and I got off the plane, and just the energy, I was just like, oh God, I've come home. I've
Yes,
come home.
even in
And
darkness, even in the darkness, you can feel.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'd never had any desire to go to Hawaii, but I mean, spirit totally conspired to get me there. And you know, I often find this, that they kind of trick me into things. I think I'm going for one thing and I find out that I'm actually there for another. But yeah, I had a I mean, just swimming with the dolphins out in the ocean with like a snorkel, I was nearly drowning because I was so excited. I could hear them coming and I was going, oh, I'm here, and I was like swallowing water. It was just, and it was really interdimensional with all the light coming in. I mean, I just love the Pacific Ocean. It has such a special energy. But yeah, Sarah has a connection to Hawaii, which I'll talk about a little bit later, which really surprised me. But it's not so surprising when you find out why. But I'll tell you about that later.
Thank you. Well, we love hearing this story. And, you know, sadly, there's legislation now in Hawaii that doesn't let us swim too close to the dolphins. And perhaps someday that'll change again. I'm not certain. Lori Rayan knows more about this with, you know, the dolphins, if they wanted to, could easily swim away from us, but they come to us, and there's such a healing in the tones and the squeaks and the sounds and their sonar that is so healing for us. I had a deep remembrance as well when I swam, and I was crying in my snorkel because it was just, I remembered, and just being in their presence, it's so lovely. All right, so thank you for sharing that story. So that really did allow you, it's almost like the dolphins raised your energy. You were already there channeling, so you were open anyway. And in came this beautiful energy named Sarah. And so she's been with you ever since. And what's her message? What's her primary? Love is the key, and so
Yeah.
much
Yeah, and that I go back and read that channeling from time to time. I do have these channeling. I have 2 books. I do have these channeling in books if people want to go and read them. But yeah, that is, I remember every now and then that was the foundation. That's the very first thing she ever said to me, was that love is the key and it's the bridge to everything. But I'd like to read out a channeling from Sarah, because it kind of has it. It kind of has it in there, what you're asking me, and I think Sarah can probably say it a lot better than me. I'll read that out if that's okay. Welcome all. I am the Ascended Lady Master Sarah, she who was born to the Master Jesus and the Magdalena, Mary Magdalene. So I did this channeling, I think, in 2007. I have come to tell you of my news, that I am returned here once again, not in physical form, but through conduits, sources of energy, through the hearts of mankind. My light, my power is being given birth to on the earth. This birth is happening as we speak, as you read these words, my love, my light. The power that I represent is manifesting onto the physical planes. These are mysteries which are the divine's gift to you. Mankind has paid heed to the call. Light workers across the planet have worked and toiled, struggled and persevered, lifted their hearts and minds in love and joy. And so the vibrational energy of the collective consciousness of humanity and of the earth has risen enough that my arrival has been achieved. But first, let me explain some of what this means. My energy represents the fusion of and perfect balance between the Christ energy, the male, and the Magdalene energy, the female. I am these 2 energies combined to create a third and perfectly balanced, harmonious energy. This energy has not been present on the earth plane before this moment. In my lifetime, I held the energy, which was born as I was from the sacred union between my parents. I was the receptacle for this perfect power, but was simply a vessel to hold the power, as it was not the time for this energy to be birthed upon the world. Since that time, I have held the imprint of the energy within my soul's pattern, so that one day, when the conditions had been sufficiently met and all was in place, mankind and all of physical manifestation could be impregnated with this awesome power through me, the conduit for this power. And she goes on and says more things, but it's a little bit long. There is something else though. Where's that bit? I can't find it at the moment. Oh, there it is. Open your hearts and breathe me in. I am there already, lying dormant, waiting to be awakened. My energy can be seen as the bright green of nature, the color of spring. New leaves growing on the branches, abundant growth. My Father performed many miracles. I am here to light up your heart so you can perform those miracles yourselves. Remember who you are. So I just wanted to go back. That bit where she says this energy has not been present on the earth plane before this moment, that's not entirely true. The vision that I've had is that in Lemuria, they had that energy, but they were in a very, very higher frequency where matter wasn't dense like we are. We're just like, we're sort of down here. Lemuria was there, and then we came right down into matter, and now we're going back up again. We can start getting into this energy of oneness, really. But yeah, that's a little bit. This is Sarah's little book of healing. Oh, there we go. That's the first book that I wrote, and it has a few channelings in there and healing and stuff like that.
So precious and beautiful, and we're ready for this on our planet again. So it was in Lemuria, but it hasn't been since the fall of consciousness.
No. So this is like our skillful job now, is to weave it into the density of matter where we are, which will help in the raising of it. And we are kind of the master engineers who were there the last time, and we've come back to sort of recreate all these things again and remember them. But it's all in our auras. The people who have this, they don't really need to do anything. They just need to get into the right energy, and it all just starts, happening.
Getting into the right energy. So it seems as if this is already embedded in our hearts. We access it through our hearts. As she said, just breathe me in, breathe me in. Open your hearts and breathe me in. Very interesting. I always find it quantum before interviews and episodes like this, that yesterday I was out in nature and I was marveling at, it was in the afternoon around 4 o'clock, and marveling at the green colors, the sun hitting some of these green leaves that made it look so radiant and vibrant. And as you read those words, it just struck a chord deep within me. And I think everyone watching and listening can see this essence reflected back at us in nature. And it is a balance of male and female energies. So as you contemplate or contemplate this within your own knowingness, is there anything you want to share about Jesus? He was born in an immaculate conception. Is there any insight there onto this lineage that is presenting now on our planet?
Well, I mean, the thing that comes to me, and this is something that has been particularly strong the last couple of years, and that is, so Sarah holds both of these divine energies of the masculine and the feminine in oneness. And, I mentioned earlier, I trained as a priestess of the goddess, and there are a lot of women who have been able to really powerfully and heartfully embrace the divine feminine, and we can speak to that a lot. But when it comes to the divine masculine, it hasn't been happening in the same way, and not in my experience. And there might be people out there saying no, and they've had a different experience, but in the kind of spiritual world that I've been mixing in, hasn't been a lot of that. And it's really time for it to come back now. It's really time for us to step back in to the divine masculine with the divine feminine by its side, and us both go forward together. The idea is not to have a mother world or a divine feminine world, but all of us together, integrated and in harmony. And that is what Sarah is offering. She's saying, look, she's not new, like you said, she's not new, but she's a new ascended master to us. And she's the ascended master, that she's here for our time, for this very moment in our evolutionary history. She has the gifts and the teachings that we need, and she's here to walk by our side, not to tell us what to do, because we're supposed to be learning how to be the masters now.
I can sense that we are standing shoulder to shoulder with her and Master Jesus and Magdalene and the ascended masters who are here supporting us. And so we're shoulder to shoulder, we're the same, and they're assisting us in balancing these energies and being creative for New Earth and for being courageous and bold. So we're going to talk now about the healing of Sarah and energetic transmissions. We have been talking about energetic transmissions from a spiritual level. So when you work with Sarah, as you channel Sarah, what is it about the healing that she offers? This is something that comes through the energy. Is that right? Can you explain what an energy transmission is? We're going to experience one with you. But the energy, it's her presence, and that is healing.
Yeah, so before I answer that, I just want to say, so Sarah is representing an archetypal energy of the divine, just as Mary Magdalene and Jesus were. So she's not the archetypal energy, she's a face for it, if you like, so that we can connect to it. And that's what she's come here to do. She's come here to connect us to this energy, but she won't be the only one on the earth doing this work, of course not, because we all need like different ways of learning. So I don't want to sound like she's the only one and it's only no, I'm not getting into any of that stuff, but she is like working with Sarah is like one big energy activation, because as soon as you call her presence in, she starts acting on your energy. And one of the things that is very, very strong with her is she has this energy of integration, and it's very magnetic, which is very divine feminine. And so when you call her in, everything in you that needs to be integrated in that moment, obviously not all at once, because we'd just explode if it all happened at once, starts to come into oneness. So that's like the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the dark, the light, your higher self, your earthly self, all of these different polarities start to move into a state of oneness little bit by little bit. So, if you want a bit of a accelerated journey, I suppose, Sarah's a good person to work with, but she's also really, really grounded. And that's why I love her. I love her so much. So in that background of working as a psychiatric nurse, I also trained a lot in psychotherapy and psychoanalysis and all these kinds of things before, moving on and training as a healer and hypnotherapist and the sort of more alternative stuff. And what I experienced, the best way I can say is, if anybody's had a therapist who's a really good therapist and you sit down in front of them, and as soon as you sit down in front of them, you can suddenly feel all your feelings that you were perhaps like disassociating from before that moment, and calling Sarah in, it's the same thing, you know. Reality, everything that is real, everything that is true becomes much more apparent to you. I don't know if I can describe what an energy activation is. Let me just have a moment. I mean, I suppose in the simplest way, it's like we all have our own energy that we carry around, and then so ascended masters or whatever it is, the sun or the earth or dolphins, they move in with another vibration that interacts with yours, and then changes happen, stuff happens, and you're not left the same afterwards.
All right, that is like an attunement as we are attuning to that energy, and it's a spiritual energy, and we've all got it. Okay. This would be a beautiful time to go through an experience with Sarah, maybe a channeled message or some energy healing. Thank you.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just go quiet for a moment. And then when I start talking again, it will be Sarah. And I don't know what she wants to do or say, but we'll find out. So here we go. Welcome, I am Sarah. It is not only the words which I speak that are meaningful in these channelings, but also the energy that you can receive, if you wish, through this channeled message as well. As was spoken, the words, open up your heart and breathe me in. So I invite you to do that now. And imagine yourself in a beautiful place, somewhere you like to be. It can be out in nature. It could be in a cave or a temple or anywhere that feels good to you. But wherever you are in your imaginings, have the thought, the idea, the impression of a cross within a circle. And energetically take yourself into the center of this circle. At the center of the circle, this is a liminal space, a space of the in-between, where you can connect more easily and more readily to your soul, to your higher self, to your ancestral guides, your ascended master guides, all of your invisible support team that are around you now. Also with my presence, a catalytic influence is occurring for you to receive something now, something which is ready to come to you, which is for your highest good, for your greatest benefit. And just let yourself rest here in this beautiful place where you have chosen to be in your imagination. Just rest here for a moment and feel my presence around you. If you wish, you can call me in more strongly, more powerfully. You can do this by imagining this vibrant energy of green, or you might see another color or do it in another way. Just let that happen now. My presence growing more and more strongly around you. And as it does, you become more centered, more balanced between heaven and earth. Breathe me in, breathe my energy into your heart, and allow something which has been separated from you. It could be an aspect of your soul light, could be something from your higher self. It could be some information that wants to come to you now. It could be a sudden insight, inspiration, or something that you love that suddenly pops up for you now. Whatever it is, allow it to be there. Allow it to come into your consciousness now as I act as a bridge between the subconscious and the conscious mind. And all is well, all is well, all is well. Anything that has been held separate from you, there was a reason for that, from the past, from the ancestors, for whatever reason. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just to call on this extra assistance and allow something which felt so far away suddenly is part of you once again as you move ever closer into oneness, into your natural state of being. And remember, your divinity, your divine spark, your soul, your higher self, this is who you truly are in this moment on the earth, right now. This is who you truly are. And all is well. All is well. All is well. In your mind's eye now, or in your heart, quietly to yourself, ask me any questions which you need to know the answer to now. And then I will go quiet for a few moments. And if the answer doesn't come right now, you can expect it in the days or weeks ahead. To just ask any questions you have right now. And I send you a blessing of my love and my light as we co-create the new earth together. I am here as a guide, a sister, a teacher, a mentor, and you can always call on me and I will be there with you. My blessings are upon you each and every moment of every day. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be. Amen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So precious, exquisite. My question, I won't go into it, but I've heard the answer to it before. We are evolving love. And it just brings such comfort because we may not even know who or what is communicating to us, but I have a feeling that many of us have already felt Sarah's energy through our heart space.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people are being called to her now
Mm.
and have that soul contract with her. And that's often how they find my work, because, you know, she hasn't been part of the mainstream. Some people would consider her heretical. And, you know, so there's not that much staff around her, but it's starting to grow now. More and more people are starting to talk about her. One of the interesting things that I want to briefly mention is that many people experience being soul aspects of Sarah, and they are also many of the people who find my work. And that's one of the things that I talk about in the second book that I wrote, which is Weaving the Strands of Saria. And that's quite a journey for a lot of people.
Yes. All right. Share more on soul aspects. What can you tell us about a soul aspect? Because really, we're soul aspects of our guides as well. Is that what you're saying? There's
Well,
purpose. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, many of us actually have different aspects in our soul. So we're not necessarily just like, a person might not just be a soul aspect of Sarah. They might also have a soul aspect of Gaia or Isis, or, you know, each person's journey has been very unique and individual. And, you know, it can be galactic, it can be, you know, all sorts of things depending on that person's journey. But so one of the things that I read out from that channeling was Sarah saying, you know, I'm not here in physical incarnation. And what she meant by that is there's not just one Sarah walking around on the earth like there was with the Master Jesus. Because people sort of expect that. They sort of think, well, you know, but no. There's this huge net of light. Many people, male and female, and non-gendered, I would say non-binary, because she very much represents that group of people as well, because she's the masculine and the feminine in oneness, you know. So she really represents a lot of people. She's also the patron saint of the Romani people. So, you know, she's very much an ascended master for those of us who maybe were a little bit on the edge of society.
Well, blessings back to her as we all recognize this essence within us. That was really beautiful, the message that came forth. And I just saw this beautiful scene and just felt this comfort and actually felt the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And that is really wonderful for our world. And Sarah talks a lot about New Earth and solutions for New Earth. Can you share more on how we can work with Sarah for New Earth?
Yeah, so since I've been working with her, she has taught me quite a few different technologies, like light technologies. And, you know, these things, they're not difficult to learn. They're very easy. But so there's two aspects to it. There's the aspect where we learn how to connect with our divine spark, and kind of, she gives that a boost, you know. And then, like, from that, we can bless water, we can bless the earth, we can send out all kinds of blessings through rivers, through the sea. One of her big things, though, is kind of the clean up earth mission, because we have, over the eons, left a lot of like not great energies lying around on the earth through us not being in right relationship with ourselves, with the divine, with each other, with the earth. And she has a violet flame. She has her own vibration of the violet flame, which a lot of ascended masters do. And actually, so do we. You know, we all carry the vibration that is fit for our work. And Sarah's violet flame is absolutely amazing for clearing land energies. And I mean, this is a huge thing. It's a huge technology. And yeah, I've been teaching that the last year to the earth priests and priestesses of Sarah. And we're taught how to kind of, well, I mean, basically we're creating sacred spaces, sacred places, sacred power places on the earth. And this is what I was saying about, you know, we were the people that built those power places in the past. And now we're sort of thinking, oh, it was amazing they did that, but they was us. And Sarah, she's really here to teach us this stuff again. But first of all, we got to clean up quite a lot of stuff. And it is quite a process learning that, because it's not an easy thing. And, you know, sometimes I hear people saying, oh, well, the earth can do it herself. Well, yeah, she can. But do we want that necessarily? Because that tends to come through earthquake, flood, fire. And actually, we made this mess. We need to clean it up. And that's fine. It's not about blaming. It's about us taking responsibility and then going, and actually we can learn how this is our next phase. We're growing into this now, where we can actually clean this stuff up.
I love what you said there. It is taking responsibility. And is it our awareness, our consciousness of the dirtiness, the negative imprints that we've spent on this planet? Is our conscious awareness actually assisting in that cleanup? Because we can blaze Sarah's violet flame and work to start to clean it up. So our part of our consciousness is required here.
It is. And then we're working in co-creation with the elementals, with the angelic realms, with Sarah, with Gaia, and, you know, and then we can direct, because we're the ones here on the earth, we're in middle world, it's us, then we can direct all that and really powerfully make it happen. And, you know, when this is all done, then the earth, all the solutions, because the solutions are there already to the environment, but the consciousness isn't there for it to happen. And that's why she has a two-pronged approach. She's working with our consciousness, teaching us how to come into oneness with our higher self, and she's teaching us how to clean up the stuff on the earth. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but, you know, I find it really inspiring that these technologies are starting to come in now, and working with them, it's amazing the effects that it has, you know, because I obviously go out and practice this stuff before I teach it to the groups, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's really like mind-blowing.
Yes, and as you share the experiences of using the light technology, that just helps confirm it for everyone in our conscious mind, and we understand that it's real and that it works and that it's highly beneficial and effective. So this would be a good time now. You are a teacher and a channeler and an author and all of that, and it makes you a great guide for others. So one of the things that you're going to be doing is a course here on New Earth One Network, and it's allowing you to share these teachings with our audience so that everyone can take them and start this beautiful work of cleanup, energetic cleanup for our planet. Tell us about this course and what it's all about, who's it for, and how it benefits.
Yeah, and thank you for that opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity to reach all of you who are just, I know your hearts are just opening up to do this. And I mean, yeah, I have a lot to say about Sarah, but, you know, it's all my words. What I want for people is to have their own connection with Sarah, because each of us has our own mission with her. The things I'm talking about, they're my mission. And she has a vast, vast mission on the earth. And, you know, each of you who are called to her, there's a reason why you're being called to her. And I want to help you find out what that is. So I'm not trying to create loads of mini-me's. It's about me like assisting you in opening that connection up, so that you can go out there and do your thing. So I will be teaching how to connect with her, how to call her in, why you would do that and what it does. We'll be looking at the healing systems. We have two healing systems. One is, I call it the soul system, and the other one is the higher self. And, you know, some people use those words interchangeably. So I would also be like explaining what I mean by those different ways. I mean, Sarah has so much to offer. It's just, you know, it's really untrue. One of the big things with working with Sarah that I've learned and that she's taught me is working with her flames. So if you go onto my website, rachelgoodwin.dk, there is a picture of Sarah on there, and she's holding this flame and she's like holding it out to us. And this is like her flame, which is like that, I suppose it's that archetypal energy that she has in its purest form. And this flame it's got three aspects, which of course it's in oneness. But when you work with each of those aspects in one after the other, it brings out so much meaning and it's so useful. So I will be teaching you about the flames, like what it means to work with them for yourself, what it means to work with them for the earth, because that's another big job we've been doing, is we've been anchoring these flames into the earth in specific places around the earth. And we have this year and next year to go. So we're halfway through that job at the moment. And then the last thing that I'll be teaching about, Sarah also has huge connection to the Pleiades. She has a very, very galactic healing energy. And that's another thing that's been coming in the last year, very exciting. And then the last thing I'll be teaching about is like your DNA and the ancestors, and your ancestral lineage have some really interesting stuff that's come through from Sarah about how at the beginning of your ancestral lineage, there's this divine energy, like this like original divine energy that holds your kind of purpose for your ancestral line. There was a reason why you got born into this ancestral line, and you can kind of trace that back, and that's amazing. And we also talk about the blue rose lineage, which is a Magdalene thing, and Sarah is also part of that. Can I mention Sarah's ashram now as well? I promised to go back to that. So some years ago, my colleague who's worked very closely with me, Louise Keogan, she asks me lots of questions. She's very curious. And she said to me, "Where's Sarah's ashram, Rachel?" And I said, "I don't know, Louise." I'll ask her. And I didn't channel it because I had too much investment in the answer, because I really love, Sarah has a really strong presence in Glastonbury and also out in France at Rennes-le-Château and in the mountains in the Pyrenees around there. And, you know, I love these places. So there's no way I could do this objectively. So I got my pendant out and I dowsed like literally all over the world, went through the whole atlas. And I was going, oh God, I can't find it. And then it was right near the end, I got to Hawaii and it just went crazy over the Big Island, which is above, you know, Kilauea, which is the volcano that is still erupting. And I mean, it just totally makes sense, because the new Earth is kind of being birthed through that part of the Earth's grid system. I mean, this is my feeling about it. This is what I experienced when I was out there. And when you do, so I teach people how to do meditations. I teach people how to meditate and connect to that ashram, because it's still split a little bit away from the earth. But when you manage to get up there, it's like being in the new earth. It is like really like being in the new earth. It's incredible. And this is what we're doing at the moment. We've got to like heal that split. And this is sort of what our generation, this is what we're doing. This is our work.
Wow, incredible. Thank you. All right, I want to mention a few things. First, I want to say that the course that you're offering, it's beautiful, and it's 4 sessions. All of that information is right here on this webpage, and we invite all of those watching and listening to join us We're excited for it. I can feel the vibration of it. And then there's a couple of things that you mentioned. Wow. So anchoring the flames, you mentioned the flames of Sarah and that we're anchoring the flames, but that we're only halfway through it. Can you talk more? What's going on here?
Yeah, so the first one was her violet flame, and she holds the energy of the lilac violet flame, which is perfect for our evolutionary point where we are now. It's very, very transformative from anything that kind of needs to go from 3D to the next level of the new earth, whether you want to say 5D or whatever kind of, terminology you use. And Sarah left seeds on the earth, places that aren't power places yet through her, but will be. So they might be power places, but like the bit that she's going to be doing hasn't been awoken yet. And so the first one was in Glastonbury. And we call it her Violet Flame Temple because, I mean, it is basically a piece of technology, to be honest, because what it does, it's like a spiral and it sends out her violet flame continuously, but very gently. It just sort of wears it out. And this is one of the things that I teach the priests and priestesses. You learn how to grow your own violet flame temple on the land where you live, because if you're going to be a strong and powerful earth worker, you have to ground more deeply into the land where you live. And first of all, it needs to be cleared so that you can connect to that level. And then you have a really powerful centered thing like down through Gaia then that you wouldn't have. So we started with the violet flame. And then the year after that, it was Sarah's white flame of divinity. And that corresponds to, she has a host of angels. So it corresponds to the angelic realm. But her host of angels, their vibration is actually the same energy as our divine spark as well. So it was like a very high vibration. And we anchored that in a few places. And we worked a lot with that earth grid out in Hawaii. It really, really assisted us in this. But one of the places we anchored that through was Sainte Marie de la Mer, which is out in France. It's the place where Mary Magdalene is believed to have like come across in her boat, and has been an ancient sacred place for just thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, and then this year in October, we're going to be anchoring down Sarah's, it's her green energy. And I was saying the other day, I've never found a good word to describe it, because it's the energy of the earth, of like growth and manifestation, but also healing. And I've never found one word that sort of describes that. So I just call it's her green energy. And we're anchoring that this year. And that's going to be, I was a bit surprised by this. There's a place called Hanging Rock in Australia. I think it's Aboriginal name, or one of them is Nganalong. It's a very, very amazingly powerful rock. And it said, yes, I want to do this. So it's coming down through there, and also Malta, through one of the sacred temples in Malta. And I think there's somewhere else, but I haven't found out what that is yet. And then next year, we're going to be working with bringing this flame in oneness onto the earth. And it's helping to heal this split that there is at the moment between like the old way and the new way, us and the new earth. And yeah, going to be interesting.
Wow, thank you for explaining that. I wrote a note here and that I was going to ask you about. Would you say that New Earth is a vibration?
Yes. I mean, yes, that's definitely one way that it could be. I mean, everything starts off as vibration, and the lower it comes down, the more it turns into other things. But I mean, we are vibration. We started as a vibration up there, and then our soul our higher self came down, became our soul, and then our soul came down and became our physical body. But right at the start, we were just a vibration.
All right. And so as we make our way back into these divine feminine and masculine vibrations of purity and unity, that's where New Earth is. And so it literally is within us as well. And your work to help bring forward an ascended master like this and to teach others how to connect in that way is truly remarkable, and helping to assist in cleaning up that schism or that disconnect. Yes, thank you for that. We're really excited for this. Again, I know many are really looking forward to growing their own violet flame where they are and learning from you all of these beautiful teachings from Sarah. And we're excited for your course. Again, we invite all of our viewers and listeners to read more about this course and to sign up, feel into the energy of it, and see if that resonates with your heart. Thank you so much, Rachel. As we say goodbye, I want to give you a moment to share any final thoughts on this whole subject.
Okay, thank you. I'll just tune in for a moment and see if there's something else that wants to be said. Yeah, and I think it's just to say, so, you know, I can get very complicated in teaching technologies and all this kind of thing, but when it comes down to it, Sarah, her teachings are, it's simplicity, and it is all about coming back into your heart and being a physically embodied and emotionally embodied person on the earth, and I really love that about her. Yeah.
Thank you. We can certainly feel the energy and the essence within ourselves, within our own hearts. And that is what's been guiding us on our journey. And so we will not lose sight of that. We will embody it more and more as we walk on our earth, remembering the greatness of who we are and why we came. We came for love. And I'll share Sarah's words: love is the key. I hope everyone writes that down on a sticky note and remembers that, because that phrase is simple and short, but it's full of so many answers and wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Rachel Goodwin. Namaste.
You're welcome.